Guys, welcome to the Horror High Podcast. I'm Dr. Jayhem. This is Mr. High. And we are so excited today to have this bonus episode to talk to the director and two of the stars of the Uncle Peckerhead movie. We have director Matthew John Lawrence, actor Jeff Riddle, who played Max on the movie. And we also have David Littleton, who is the infamous Uncle Peckerhead. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
great to be here.
Shit.
First off, amazing. Love the movie. I watched this movie before we even started the podcast. I believe it came out in August.
Yeah.
So I actually paid for the movie. So you got a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
And,
We appreciate that.
I loved it. I was telling these guys about it before, I really was talking to you at all. And I'm so excited
Always
because it looks like you have a huge following, and it's understandable why, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. There's a lot of cool things going on in that movie, man. I have a quick, I want to know where the inspiration of Uncle Peckerhead came from, because it kind of like seems like it should be like not really werewolf, but like the midnight change. What was going on whenever you came up with that?
Yeah, so the original idea for Uncle Peckerhead, there wasn't really any horror elements. I had I had come up with this idea that I wanted to pitch as kind of an Adult Swim, like 15-minute episodes, and base it off of like an early 90s sitcom about a bunch of punk kids living in a dilapidated row house, and they inexplicably had this like middle-aged hillbilly tweaker that lived with them. And this tweaker would give them like sage-like advice that would help them to solve their like conflict at the end of every episode. So I always pitched it as kind of like a punk rock Full House with a hillbilly Mr. Belvedere. Nice. And I've been producing a lot of horror shorts. I had done a horror short of my own, and I had gone around to like a lot of film festivals in this one year. And with this one film I was producing, it seemed like a lot of the feature films, although some of them were like fucking awesome, there wasn't a fun midnight movie, like one that I like really was like dying to go to, or when I went, I was like loving it, like that type of midnight movie that you want to have, where you're like a few beers in, maybe you've had some type of substance, and you're just kind of like letting it wash over you, and you're like cheering, and you're like cringing, and you're going through like all the motions. So like one night after one of these film festivals, I got really drunk with my then girlfriend, now wife, and I was like, dude, we should make a midnight movie, like a feature midnight movie. And then like a year later, we made Uncle Peckerhead. So that's it just kind of took two ideas of just wanting to make an insane fun midnight movie, and kind of taking this idea that I had wanted to do about kind of like this punk, these punk kids that were in a band that lived with this hillbilly tweaker.
Dude, you killed it. You killed it.
For real, man. That was
seriously
all awesome.
Isla Park. Mm-hmm. I was telling these guys, because obviously I watch it several times. It has such a mainstream feel too, and I saw that they say that you work on a micro budget. If you don't mind, like what is your budget for a movie like that?
I mean, it's definitely under $100,000. We like, honestly,
it, man, Jesus.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, and that really speaks to a cast and crew that are willing to work for very little. And then, like in the case of like myself or my wife, or a couple of the people like Jeff at the top of it, because Jeff also wrote all the music. Is a lot of us like still like haven't made any money off of it. Not even made any money, like still haven't been paid for the hours we put in.
Right.
Yeah. So it really just speaks to like the commitment from like a cast and crew, like even David, that are working at like, the baseline scale of what you really should pay professionals and people that are good craftsmen, craftswomen, technicians. Everyone worked at like the absolute, like basically minimum wage of what they would be making, or they worked for free right now. Yeah. So, I mean, we haven't quite done the math, because I owe Jeff probably like $400,000.
The other cool thing was I feel like this really was sort of like everyone's passion project, and a lot of the people that did work on the crew, especially, who were great. We had an awesome crew.
You can tell it shows. It shows.
They're professionals, and they work in the industry. So for them to like take their own time and sacrifice a lot to come do this really meant a lot, I feel like.
Yeah, and you know, I was gonna say something about the, you know, the passion you could definitely tell throughout all of the performances in the movie. It's awesome, you know. David Littleton as Uncle Peckerhead was amazing, and like all of the music was
amazing, dude. That character
is crazy cool.
That character's iconic. I'm telling you. And when I said that I compared you to Sid Haig, and that was before I saw, because I researched you guys a little bit, and I'm not the only one who thinks that.
Yeah.
But it's Sid Haig and Marty Huggins. If you've ever seen The Campaign, that accent, amazing. It's so likable. Such a likable fucking demon.
It's funny because the accent is actually based on a very real person. I don't want to say who, but
It's all right.
When I was going over the script, it was always like, how would this guy say this? Because, you know, he's such a nice guy, but everything is so kind of slow and drawn out and goes like up and down and up and down. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny too. Somebody mentioned in another interview the other day, they're like, wow, it's so surprising to hear you without the accent. And now, you know, we become friends and we just love David. And it didn't even occur to me because now I'm just used to a speaking voice. But it's like, wow, that's the first time I thought of that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
David, have you ever seen that movie, The Campaign?
I haven't, no. And
just Google a clip from that because Zach Galifianakis has that same accent, and it's just.
Well, I'm a huge fan of his, so yeah, I'll check it out definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, that character, love that character. I'm telling you, if you're not getting offers yet, you're gonna because you killed it.
Well,
you really did. All you guys,
yes.
Absolutely, Jeff. You too. You and your interactions with Nick, handsome Nick, fucking hilarious. Because I'd invite people over and put it on because I wanted to get their opinions, you know. So I've watched it a couple times, and every time I see something different, I just start fucking.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Well, that speaks a lot to Matt's attention to detail too. Of like, he's really good at putting sort of Easter eggs and like these deep references in there, which that's one of my favorite things is when people go back and watch it again, or even me, things that I'm like, oh, that's, you know, I've had people be like, is that a slapstick reference? Or, you know, and so that's real. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was one of the funniest things I'd heard. It was so relatable too. The beginning, whenever the van's getting towed, and you know Ruby McCallister, who's Mel, she's just sitting there like not really caring about anything else, and just like, God damn it, my fucking one hitter was in there. That was one of the funniest things I had heard. Like I howled when I fucking heard that the first time. Like is that something? Are you more of a comedic guy? Like do you go for more comedy, or you're not really a horror?
No, I mean, I grew up a huge horror fan, but I was also I was equal parts a comedy nerd. So I growing up right next to New York City, like my dad would take me in and we'd see like stand-up shows or like sketch comedy and stuff like that. And just being like a kid that grew up like being raised by TV, comedy was like, you know, such an important part of my life even now. But yeah, horror was just as equally important in that I was also like a kid of like the VHS boom. So like every Wednesday, my mom would take me to like Easy Video to rent 3 for 1. And obviously like as a, you know, like 9-10-year-old kid, 11, 12, the horror aisle, the artwork was the thing that kind of drew me in. And I just kind of like, that was kind of my sweet spot when it came to film. So when it comes to like horror comedy, it just kind of marries both of my loves, which is like kind of just, and I think you can marry the two, but yeah, just like comedy and horror, I think marries
hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like sweet and salty.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I know you shot in 3 locations, Toms River, Brooklyn, and Philly. That opening scene of Does apartment, that had to be Philly, right?
No, the opening one where
my house.
The eviction notice, really, because it looks like Pittsburgh. That's why I was like, that has to be Philly.
Yeah. That's actually my house that I live in, and that was right when we bought it. So I mean, well, we had actually done a lot of work to it at that point. So if you can imagine what it was like when we bought it, it doesn't look like that anymore. But you know, Matt came and looked at it and was just like, do you think we could shoot here a day? And we were like, yeah, we can't fuck anything up here, obviously.
Right,
you know?
That's awesome.
So yeah, and it just worked.
And that probably helped out on budget and everything.
It's also cool to see that, like, for me personally, is like a time capsule. It's like, well, that's what my, so.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, no, I understand that completely.
Yeah, and we shot actually all around. Like Tom's River was probably the town in New Jersey where we shot the most, but we shot all around Monmouth and Ocean County, which is where I grew up. So like Jeff said, when it comes to like it being a time capsule, like a lot of the places, like the very opening scene was the back of the middle school where my mom taught. And like basically like everywhere, because we were on such a strapped budget, like everywhere we shot, it was either Jeff's house or my now sister-in-law's apartment is where, the dead promoter or the battle with like the rival band, that was all in my sister-in-law's apartment that we completely fucking destroyed. And yeah, I mean, like we shot in like, my brother's venue, that's House of Independence at the end. He runs that venue, or he ran that venue. So it is like kind of a time capsule, because everywhere we shot, other than maybe one or two locations, it was like a favor of a friend or a family member. My uncle got us a lot of like locations in New Jersey, because he's kind of like an assistant to like a mayor. So like he was basically able to call in like every favor he could. So it really was kind of like a DIY, very scrappy, like friends and family kind of coming together to kind of make a movie.
Yeah, passion project sounded like the perfect way to fucking put it. Like that's
seriously, man.
That's great.
I feel like I'm gushing, but man, it's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, you should really feel. You don't know me from Adam, but you should really feel proud, all you guys.
Dude,
bro.
Seriously, you guys killed it. Me and my wife, when we watched it the first time, she's like, "I just saw this in the theater, and normally she's all pissed about spending $12." She'd been like, I was fine. I'd have been fine if I paid $12. So.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And that speaks volumes. Trust me.
Nice.
I'm gonna actually take this and play it back for my dad. So a little bit more. Okay.
For real,
Nice,
man.
man.
Seriously,
great,
it's
dude,
awesome. I loved everything about it. And the music, Jeff. Holy fuck. I'm not a punk guy. I never really have been. Don't know much about it, but one of my favorite bands is the Foo Fighters. And Dave Grohl has like deep punk roots. Yeah. But man, your songs were they were awesome. It's drawing me in. Like I want to hear more, and I'm gonna have to check out your band. Yeah.
Like the instrumentals were some of my favorites. I thought it was awesome. Like that first scene whenever you got your head on the speaker and you're doing the whole
like
breakdown and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I enjoyed it all.
Thanks so much, man.
I was singing Too High to Cry in the shower this morning.
That's so rad.
I'm not even fucking lying. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm singing this song.
That is so rad to hear. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm telling any tales out of school right now, but I'm working on finishing up. We just decided it would be kind of cool to, a lot of people have been reaching out about the soundtrack kind of deal. And so there's the songs in the movie, but I just wrote a couple more, and I think we're going to just record it soon and put out like a legit record next year.
Awesome.
And my friend Augusta, shout out to her, who did the singing voice of Judy. She's also.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because I wasn't sure, but I was like, I don't think that's her.
So she's in a band called Gladdy now, and she was in a band called Kaitana for a long time. She's great. So she came on and sang the singing voice of Judy, and she's down to do it for the record too. So
that's awesome.
That's really awesome. And my buddy Bill Orender, who he plays in my real band too. So he did actually the drums for the recordings.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Wow, all of it was awesome, man. I enjoyed everything. Judy did a great, the actress who did Judy, she did a great job playing it off. Like I thought it was real for the first time I saw it. I was like, dude, is she really screaming like that?
Well, a lot of people, it's surprised. A lot of people reaching out, they're like, oh, those actresses, they did it, and they actresses did a great job. Which, I mean, that just speaks to their talent to convince people that it was really them singing or playing, and so that's really cool. All around,
Oh yeah, man.
I like that you mentioned that scene with him up against the amp, because that's like honestly one of my favorite bits in the movie.
That's like the Rocky moment where you're
because he's so shy and awkward, and then like once he strums that first time, like he's 100% there in his
free
skin.
of all the
It's a great moment.
It is. It's awesome. It really is.
I agree 100%, man.
And David, you too, you killed it. It's just amazing what you did.
So-
and hearing you without the accent, like Jeff was saying, it's weird because I know you as Peck.
Yeah. So, David, I just want to ask a quick question. You dealt with most of the cosmetics and stuff. I mean, whenever you first talk about the dead promoter, whenever you first show up as the demon, you know, you got them hands and all that stuff. How difficult was it working with all of that?
You know, it wasn't too bad. We had a great effects guy who did both my I forget the prosthetics and he also did all the gore stuff, like all the spray and all the anytime you saw a corpse or anything. He did all of that. His name's Jared. I don't know how to say Jared's last name.
You know, it's crazy. I don't, because I've only called him Jared, so I don't want to.
I think it's like Baylog, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Is it a bunch of consonants all jammed
Yeah, it's
together?
like Baylog, I believe.
Baylog sounds
That's
right.
funny.
Balog, but he was amazing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Matt again was very smart in terms of scheduling, and we did all of the non gore and non-makeup things at the beginning.
Right.
And so the last week was all prosthetics and gore stuff.
Okay.
And the first time I sat in the chair, it took like maybe an hour and 45 minutes or so. But by the time we were done, it got faster and faster.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, the contacts were a little hard at first because I'd never worn contacts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then also the nails kept falling off because you know we shot the metalhead scene all in one night, and I'm just covered in blood and gore, right?
Mhm.
And so these things that are like stuck to my nails the nails that were stuck to my nails would just like every shot, you know, just fall out. And then we'd be like digging through corpses and digging
Trying
through
to find the
because we only had like one set or maybe two
Right.
sets. You know, so it's like we gotta find that nail.
Damn. So that was like the biggest problem was trying to keep the nails on your hands.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Believe it or not.
That's
That's actually a pretty funny problem to have.
You guys pulled it off real well. It was amazing.
Yeah, the gore is great.
It was the whole thing, like all of the effects, all of that. And Matthew, I'd heard that you were a practical effects guy, or like you enjoy that more than you would rather see visual stuff, right? Or CGI type shit, right?
Yeah, I think VFX can be useful at times, especially if it's in combination with like practical. But if I could, I would elect to do it almost entirely and have him post like fix certain things that you don't nail with the practical effects. But I think just in terms of like having like just kind of the tangible nature and it feeling real, I feel like doing everything practical or in camera is the way to go. And certainly like it takes a lot more time during production. And if you don't schedule it right, if you don't like block it correctly, if you don't have the budget to do it, I mean, like that's kind of like there were certain things in the script that luckily Jared was so amazing that he almost was able to do everything we needed him to do on such a strapped budget. But there were so many more things that if we had a little bit more money or an extra day, we could have either had a more robust scene of something we had or been able to add to it. But yeah, I'm like all for practical effects. I think it looks so much better. I think like especially for like a film like ours on such a strapped budget, it gives it such like it kind of increases the production value. It looks so much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with that all the way.
That's awesome, man. I agree with you 100%. Like they need to bring practical effects back into movies and stuff like that. And you guys did a great job, and your special effects guy did a great job too, man.
Absolutely.
I think something Matt and Jared were both really good at, especially Matt, just for planning, is with such a small budget, it's really making those having it kind of it's like an illusion of there's really only a handful of really big scenes, but spacing them out in a way and just, really making that budget work. And also like the editing. I mean, there's like some really cool editing that Matt did. I didn't know until we saw the movie, you know, and I was like, oh man, the fact that you cut it together like that really just sells it. And it kind of stretches out that scene too, where you're like, oh, it makes this, you're like wanting it to flash back to whatever. So yeah.
I never think about editing, but that's you're right. Like that's awesome, man. I never like that's cool how you guys are able to use that. Yep, I'm rambling.
I need this. I love the fact that I watch it with like several different groups of people because, like I said, I have friends come over and put it on for them. And what's funny is, and spoiler alert, because we do spoilers, if that's all right with you guys, but we have to just to analyze the film. We always let the crowd know, stop now. But like one of the final scenes when Peck comes in, and we'll talk about Shiloh and his band. Oh my God. But I watch this with different people, and they see Peck shredding people and blood's flying everywhere, and everyone's like, yeah, haha. And then he starts shitting everywhere, and they're all like, ah! The blood doesn't faze them, but it's the diarrhea, the demon diarrhea that speaks volumes about, you know, the people we hang out with.
Yeah, when it comes to the shitting scene, that was probably the only thing that the two other people I produced this with were against. And like my argument was, and I'm not arguing for a shit scene on a podcast, believe me, but like the one thing I was
I'll do it. Don't threaten me with a good time.
But the one thing I was saying is like Jeff was kind of talking about is, you know, we couldn't have like a nonstop, you know, like a 90-minute long crazy batshit kind of practical effects extravaganza because we didn't have the budget. And I was like, we have to give like, and again, this was pre-COVID. So I was imagining how I really wanted people to watch this movie was in a fucking packed theater. And I was like, this is the scene when Peck rips out this fucker's heart, and starts to eat it, and his stomach, and people are like, no. And like, I wanted to hear the audience like shouting no as it's going on for like, you know, this like 30-second clip.
So yeah, that's a question. Is Peck allergic to like the heart? Is that what it is? He has like irritable bowel.
No, I think Shiloh just has a rotten fucking body,
a rotten soul, and a rotten soul.
You know what, man? I don't think you're even allowed to diarrhea on people now post COVID.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, you got in. Your grandfather did.
The CDC is taking that off the table.
That's right. So, is it Ryan Conrath? Is that right?
Yeah.
He's really good because I watched your shorts, Larry Gone Demon, what was it, 2 Pints Lighter and Shoebox Redhead, and he's in all of them, right?
Yeah, Ryan is my muse.
He's versatile too, man. He needs to get his picture up on IMDb. For real.
I know. He was like basically like first day of school, like we're gonna be best friends. Like I met him a few days before school started because we had all just moved to Boston, and he came over to my apartment because we had written on a message board that we had both moved in early, and he came over and like just that thing where you're like we're gonna be bros, and he's been in from like my first exercises in film school. He's been in every single thing I've done. So
he is your muse. You're right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He was good in everything, and I didn't realize he was the demon till after.
And
you know,
crazy in real life, he's the best. He's hilarious, and
he's the nicest,
funny dude. Yeah,
the nicest, and one of the smartest. He's a film professor now.
That's right.
He's like one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life.
I'm shocked I haven't seen him in anything mainstream, but let me tell you, everyone who I watched it with wanted that nose ring ripped out so bad. So bad. I'm sure you've heard that a million times, but everyone was like, oh God, just tear out the nose ring.
It's so weird because like again, if we had more time, like in the script it says that it gets shit off, and we just like didn't get like
it gets shot off of him.
And, like we just didn't grab the shot. So, like, I'm with you. I too wanted it. Flying off of the fucker's nose. But yeah.
Everyone loved his character though, in the douchiest of ways. You know, he was great. He absolutely was great. And tell me, was the band was it Dominion Rising? Yeah. Was that STP inspired, like Scott Weiland?
No, I mean, no, I mean, maybe, and again, people, and what's so crazy and what I'm kind of tickled by is when I'm asked about it, everyone has a different band. Everyone has their own Dominion Rising.
Really?
Yeah. Is that my brother's band? Do you know my brother?
I saw Jeff wearing a furry vest before.
Yeah, dude. It's true.
But yeah, I like STB. It wasn't for me. Like basically, that character and that band was based off of. They were based off of two people. Like one, Ryan does this character that was like this pretentious philosopher. Because we used to do sketches like when we were in school, and he would play this like insufferable philosophy major. And like he would just kind of pontificate and be so like insufferable. But then the other thing was, and again, I mean to offend nobody who is a fan of this band, but I would send Ryan 30 Seconds to Mars interviews with Jared Leto. And Jared Leto, I mean, like Jared Leto in those interviews, like I would take line for line some of the interviews he would do talking about his music. Really? And that was like my inspiration was the way he would talk about his art. I was like, I found it hysterical. So Ryan basically studied 30 Seconds to Mars and his thing. But what I love is that everybody has their own Dominion Rising.
Yeah, it was Scott Weiland and STP for me. The movie's set in the 90s, right?
So I'm happy that you're saying that. Yeah, I mean, I wanted it to be kind of a decade ambiguous, like an ambiguous decade. So
the payphone and the cassettes.
Yeah, payphone cassettes, and even I think that like the band has kind of a timeless quality to it, where like it could be the 80s, it could be the 90s, could be the early aughts. I mean, the reason why I always hate saying it's definitely the 90s is because we were on such a strapped budget. When you see Cars in the background, or even in the green room, we forgot to take out a sign that said fucking Wi-Fi password. So there's a bunch of stuff where you're like, man, I don't can we claim that this is a film set in the 90s if we weren't able to control it all? But yeah, I mean, I would say mid to late 90s is kind of what I would have loved if we had a budget to kind of completely control everything in the frame, to kind of create that world or that time.
Oh man, that's awesome. So about them payphones, did you guys buy one on Google and just take it with you, or did you find them somewhere?
No, I gotta shout out my uncle. My uncle, I was like, dude, we need 2 payphones, or we need that, and he fucking was like, hey, there are 3 payphones in this town. I'll take you around.
Wow.
You guys can choose whichever one you want. And the crazy thing is, one of the places we shot had 2 payphones, and literally we shot in the summer. At the end of the summer, he sent me pictures, and they took down every payphone in that town.
Wow.
End of an era.
Yeah, because I couldn't tell you the last time I've seen a payphone. How about you?
Crazy.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, maybe
we actually got sued by 1-800-COLLECT.
That's funny.
And cassette tapes. Everyone was like, cassette tapes. When is this?
I also love the idea of Duh being a present day band that still just records all their music on cassette tapes.
Right. Totally anachronistic.
Dude.
It records all their music through a payphone.
How quirky Judy was, it wouldn't surprise me if she did cassette tapes all the way until 2020.
Yeah,
we actually have the movie on while we're doing this with you guys, and it's the pool scene with someone needs to cast this dude as Jesus in something.
I think he's done
sure.
Jesus.
He's got to be Jesus Christ Superstar or something.
Yeah.
He's great.
But Jeff, you were so fucking funny in this. Everybody howls at you jumping into the pool with your arms.
That was improv.
That was great, man. That was great.
My jump.
Look professional.
Yeah, and Greg who played,
that was awesome.
Yeah, your scenes with Nick, everyone loved. We're going crazy.
Yeah, Greg. Shout out to Greg.
Yeah,
Greg's awesome.
That's great, man.
Yeah, for sure. And then it got real dark. The end. I know I've seen you've been asked this before and in interviews. there is a sequel. Yes, it's in the works. It's in your head. It's on paper. It's in production.
Yeah, I mean, so not in production. Hopefully, in production at some point. But yeah, I mean, like I'm like currently writing 2 scripts, and one of them is Uncle Peckerhead 2. And what I'm excited by is like I basically keep these notebooks of like film ideas, and each idea has like its own notebook. And the Peckerhead 2 script is, or the idea notebook is like, you know, half filled, which is like always good news. That means like it's basically like fully formed.
Right.
It really is just like in January, I'm basically gonna probably draft it out in script form, and then all we need is a dump truck full of money to just park it at the homestead, and we're ready to go. I mean, the good thing is, like as I'm sure you know, like with Jeff and David, like a lot of the cast and a lot of the crew, like we loved working together despite it being on such a strapped budget and like, you know, it being so stressful. And I mean, I know I'm dying to work with, you know, especially like Chet and Ruby and David and Jeff, and even like, you know, a lot of the people like the cinematographers, Kyle and Mike, and, you know, a lot of like everyone that worked on it that was kind of like, you know, had such kind of a hand in getting it to the finish line. We're dying to work together again, and this is just like something where we wanted to. I've always wanted to continue the story, and I'd love to kind of like be able to work on a bigger budget with these people that I loved working with.
Yeah, I would love to see a sequel, man. I want to see how the band makes it out of the concert venue, because you know, Uncle Peckerhead is on a mission, man. He's ready to. It sounded like he was taking everyone out, and I want to see the aftermath of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and more music too.
Yes, the fucking music. I can't wait to hear that.
Oh, dude, I'm so stoked, and I mean the idea itself is like so fucking whacked out, and just hearing like I've been lucky enough that Jeff shared some of the demos that he's done that weren't in the first installment of the film that he's just making for this LP, and I would die to be able to like both continue the story but also Jeff's music. It's like lights out, like so fucking good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm singing it in the shower. You know, what the hell?
I want to know as soon as something comes out, because I really did enjoy all of it, like the lyrics, like especially that Dominion Rising song, whenever it's like real stop and like heavy, and like the instrumentals are so nice. I'm like, it's awesome, dude. I can't wait to see hopefully something come out. Yeah.
One of the most amazing things about that music is like we would shoot those scenes of them performing, and then during lunch, like the camera assistant would be singing the song, you know, like, because we'd have to play it like, you know, 20 fucking 30 times. Yeah. So like everyone got to know the music really well. Right. And what was so kind of like heartening was to see like just members of the crew, like as they're fixing their plate, like singing the songs in their head. Right. So like you could tell that like the music was like catching on with, like, you could kind of see where it would go, you know, once it could reach audiences. Because the crew fucking loved it. After hearing it 30 times, they weren't ready to kind of like, you know, destroy the speaker.
I can imagine, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Another big scene. My actual favorite scene was when, and shout out to Chet Siegel and Ruby McAllister, right?
Yeah.
Fucking great. Everyone I watched with thought Ruby was Natasha Lyons.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm sure she heard that a lot too. But the scene where Chet's character Judy walks in and sees Peck, and when she screams, and then David, you screaming back at her, is priceless. That is priceless. You killed it. It is so funny. I die every time I watch that.
Thanks.
So great job.
You know, 99% of what I did in the movie is just what was written in the script. You know,
right.
So
you
know that. Most of the credit goes to Matt's script and to Matt. And
I should say, no, I mean, it's also I don't want to volley back and forth, but it really is the actors, because I remember that scene in particular, and especially like one of my favorite moments of being on set, because usually, especially a micro budget set, it's so kind of an unforgiving experience, and you're just kind of like constantly worried. you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time. And I remember the scene of when she runs out and they have that confrontation where Peck's now returned back to normal, but he's covered in like all the viscera and the blood and shit. And they're kind of going back and forth. That was like one of the scenes that we shot in the first week. And that was like the energy of that scene, both in terms of like the actors, like it's such like kind of a dynamic, fun scene to shoot. You could see that like for a lot of us, it's like we started to realize like what the movie was in that scene. Like we're like, oh, okay, like this is the energy we want to have. And it's like, it's because like the actors were so in it and were so funny and were so like fucking crazy. That it was one of those scenes that you could tell like everyone kind of realized the film that was being made, and it kind of like energized us to kind of continue, because that was like an all-night shoot where like kind of the energy starts to kind of dip at times. But after shooting that scene between them out in the parking lot, it kind of propelled us for like it helped to kind of propel the energy for like another few days to like our first day off. So it was like one of the most exciting, like one of the first times during the shoot that I was like, fuck, maybe we have like, it sounds crazy to say, but maybe we have like a pretty good movie on our hands.
Yeah, you guys have a great movie. All right, so talk about the.
How long did it take to shoot the movie, Matt?
It took, so we shot for 3 weeks in June, and we had Sundays off. So it was 18 days, and then we had a pickup day in September to grab like a few things that like just through like missing out on during the shoot. So it was like, I'd say like 18 and a half, 19 days of shooting.
Wow. So you guys just totally gelled, because to make such a quality movie on such a small budget in such a short time frame, that just speaks volumes for you guys. It's just amazing.
Boot camp. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. But look what you did.
Look back on it and just be like, wow, that was really condensed. That we, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it
Probably
seems like you always work with a lot of the same people, like Mike Sutter, right? He does cinematography.
Yeah.
Killed it, man. Like I said, mainstream. It should
sure
be.
Matt might have like a different, because this is like his baby, but it didn't feel like we were missing anything. You know, just
No, right.
I'm sure there's probably things that we were constrained by with time and budget. And there were times where it was down to the wire, where it's like, we have to get this shot. And that's sort of where David was our ace in the hole, and he would one take something and just pull us through or something. But I mean, there was a couple times, I mean, that just speaks to everyone on the crew. There was times where we were all running and grabbing stuff out of the frame, like to like steal a shot at the end of the night or something. And just, you know, and like it would just start raining in Brooklyn. Everyone's grabbing gear and throwing it into the rain. So everyone really worked as a team. And, yeah, it is kind of crazy to think that we did it all that quick. And yeah, but it just didn't feel like we were leaving much behind in the heat of things.
And nothing looked one take. I mean, if you got shots at one take, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
David,
surprising. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, guys.
No,
David
I mean,
did. I
that
did.
just, yeah, sorry. That just speaks to, I mean, again, like the cast and crew, like David, especially, but like a lot of the actors, like you really only have like 3 or 4 takes per person, you know, which is like fucking crazy, especially when you think of like people who are like amazing directors, but like David Fincher, when you hear that like he does like 100 takes.
Jesus, yeah.
Like what I couldn't fucking imagine having that time.
Right.
Like for one take is probably like what we would shoot our movie in, you know, like, so you think about that stuff and you're just kind of taken by like how, like, even, you know, like the focus puller, you know, like one of the camera assistants being able to hit like Grace Hendricks, who was like at the first AC, she was pulling focus and being able to like hit the marks in like one take, or David being able to like nail a 5-minute scene in one take. Your fucking brain blows up of like you're just like, I love
Metalhead scene.
It's impressive.
Like we only had one shot at that Metalhead.
That's true.
That's fucking amazing.
That was
and that was like 25 people all like working at the top of their form, and my God, like when that was done, everybody was just like, holy fuck,
everyone was holding
you fucking
breath
killed
when
it.
that happened, because it was like everyone be fucking quiet. We're all standing around, and it was nighttime. That was that was like the last week for sure, and it was
No, that was the last day.
That was the last day.
Oh,
it was
man.
the last
Wow.
day. And it was like
It's probably 3:00 in the morning.
and in an empty parking lot. So it just had that feel to it where it's like, I mean, we all really were in an empty parking lot where the scene is supposed to take place, and it's like, all right, you're gonna. I mean, there's spoilers, right? Spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Right now, if you don't want to.
Yeah.
David rips the guy's fucking head off, and
Yeah.
we're all like,
Fine.
we're just like, nobody move, don't talk. And what ended up happening too, it's in the film, it ended up being a happy accident, as Bob Ross would call it. But dude, the camera got drenched. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that was supposed to happen. And you see the screen turn red. And it was just like, oh, I hope we got it. I remember watching it back on the monitors. Everyone's like, that looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the camera
was just
department was
working.
like, well, that's going to cost a little more money. But, and we're like, yeah, I guess we did damage the camera a little. But yeah, I mean, that was one take. And that was like the only
Holy
shot
shit.
you have at something like that.
And that was the very last scene you shot of the movie.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
wow, that had
That's
to be
impressive.
an emotional scene. Then you guys were done. It was over.
Yeah, everyone literally like fucking cheered, because like that's the other thing. That was like the literal and figurative climax of everything. It was like everyone's like, and then also it's such an epic, crazy thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, cut. That's a fucking picture wrap, and it was just like everyone's like, yes, like
Because
it was
who
wild.
doesn't want to kill a metalhead, right?
Yeah, and Ruby and I, you know, sort of our rap was right before that. It was like our two scenes, and we got covered. It was just we got covered in blood. So
I know. I was like, oh, close your mouth.
it was just, that was cool. That was such a, I don't know, that's such a satisfying experience too. At the end of it, you're like, all right, you're gonna get fucking covered in blood right now. This is the big, and yeah, and then it was
what a
like,
great way to end a
Yeah, right.
project. You know,
Oh, that
get
was really
stoked
cool.
It
in
really
blood.
was fun.
It was really cool.
That's awesome. It was funny that you said, you know, everyone be quiet on the set, you know, or whatever, whenever you guys were filming that last one. The reason why I'm saying is because the part where you have, you know, puke coming through your fingers, I could just imagine everyone laughing, because I know I was
That was
laughing
actually
whenever.
fucking gross for real.
It was it gross? See, I can
It might have
imagine.
been-
That's why I
it
was
might have
laughing,
been
because it
that
just
real
looked
piece.
nasty. How did they
No,
like?
because we
You
were-
guys
that
don't
was-
mind? Like, how did you guys pull that off? Is there
that
a
was the
tube?
scene
Like,
where we ruined Matt's relationship with his sister-in-law. But no, just kidding. They love each other. But we were in her apartment, and dude, you know, this is like a third floor, second floor, whatever, in Brooklyn. So it's hot. There's a ton of fucking crew, and it's like a lot of people are literally just having to sit outside.
Right.
Because you can only fit so many people in like a one-bedroom apartment, and we're in a tiny bedroom doing that, making it look like the office. And dude, after a couple hours of everybody in there, and it's like our effects dudes are in there with like, you know, setting the scene and all this. It's like, dude, it's crowded, and it was fucking hot because it was
Yeah,
summertime.
it's late. I'll let you finish that, but it is late June. So like we are fucking baking in this one bedroom apartment.
Yeah, God.
And it was like, all right, everybody doesn't need to be in here, leave. And there's still a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I mean, like, we're crammed in there. The effects guys have to be there. Matt has to be there. You know, the camera department. Yeah. So it's like, we're going in there, and, you know, I asked him that. I was like, can I do this? Like, I was like, I think I have a way that I want to do this that's going to look really gross. And he's like, yeah, try it. And it was just throwing up through my, you know, through your hand.
yeah,
And it worked, but also the throw up was like literally, it was like smushed up bananas and like oatmeal.
Oh,
And it's like, dude, it tasted so gross, and it's hot. It's in a fucking cup. So then it's like, all right, let's try this again. All right, stir this up and fucking drink it. Like, put it in your mouth, hold it. It's like, and it looked gross. It smelled. It was hot. You're looking at this thing. You're like, dude, I think you trick yourself into being like putting yourself in the moment, and you're pretty much in the moment. So you're like, this is fucking gross, dude. It stinks. It smells like fucking bananas. It's in my beard.
yeah.
Like, it was not that hard. And what you see in the thing, which I'm so glad we used that take, was, yeah, that scene of me doing the puke through my hands we were all like for real gagging. Like that was not, and you can see like, if you look right before it cuts, you see like Chet and Ruby. And I think Chet literally was like, oh, fuck that. I'm out of this. I'm walking like for real. And it's like, you see her actual genuine, like, oh, what the fuck? So that's one of my favorite things to watch.
So check this out. That happened to me in real life. Where I was in the back seat of this dude's car after having too much drink, and he's driving us home. Where I was going to throw up and warned him, didn't pull over, and it sprayed like a hose burst. And he had this long hair, and it sprayed all over his hair and in his car. Well, and I was telling these guys when we watched it together, I was like, that fucking happened to me in real life. That dude didn't talk to me ever since that, ever. And
I'm glad I could recreate that for you, and you could practice it, man.
You brought me back to it. I forgot that happened, but seeing that movie brought it back to me.
But you were asking about if it was ever difficult, like not to laugh or break, just because some of this stuff was so goofy. Just about every scene that Ryan was in.
With Shiloh,
Shiloh.
Yeah, Ryan. Conrad, right. Oh, yeah, because he killed that role.
And he's just so fucking funny.
And probably not like that at all, I'm sure, right?
No.
Because everybody wanted to punch him in the face and rip that nose
biology.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, that was funny. Whenever he like goes up to the van, first approaches you guys, like, hey, I think we had a problem. You know, I was just laughing the whole time. The movie was awesome, well scripted, well done, well acted. Like you guys brought that to life. It was funny, man. Like every person I see on this movie is someone that I've met at like, I don't know, maybe like Warped Tour or, you know, some sort of concert, you know, they're real, like, they seem like real people, and you guys did a great job doing that. Like, it was awesome. Hey, no problem.
Even the guy, the first promoter, the one that Peck tears apart with Judy walks in, even that dude, his couple lines he had with Chet, he was great. I've seen that dude a million times, you know?
Incredible.
It's amazing. I mean, like, and it means so much that you guys are saying this, but that's like the one thing is, you know, like writing the script is you really hope that like not just the core four, which it like everything kind of hinges on the performances and the dynamic between those four. But like some of my favorite movies, you know, it's like it's all of those like small, like one scene characters that kind of like just fucking own this shit out of their few lines. And we got so lucky that everyone, at least for me, like everyone that we cast totally threw themselves into and made the most out of, because the one thing you worry about especially is like some people when they get a small part, like just don't like relish in it and like just fucking own it. And everyone we had come in, like especially like even like, I mean, I could gush about like every single like small like role we had in it, and I hate using even the word small role, but like everyone killed like their scene or their
you can see it, yeah,
it's
like
evident. It's amazing, yeah. I'm so kind of in awe that we got so lucky that we had so many kind of fun, funny, and what was so great, especially about having the core four of the cast, is when people would come in, whether it be like Greg, who played Nick, or David, who played that promoter, David Weinheimer. Like if they come in for a day or a few days, the four of them, and Peckerhead, were so kind and would like be like, it would be such kind of a family dynamic, especially with the entire cast and crew, but especially with that cast, they were so kind of welcoming and would like they'd have so much fun kind of doing those scenes that you could tell that like one of the things is like, you know, on my end, you know, you're not really having a lot of fun, but when you see that like people are sad to leave, you know, like after they do their scene, they kind of want to stick around and hang out, and you're like, well, at least like people are like enjoying kind of these moments.
We took Greg out for ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody was setting up, we had some time the first day we met, and I think you could kind of tell he kind of just wanted to like meet everyone and sort of get a vibe since we were going to be hanging together, and he was in one of the bands, you know. And so we're like, let's just go down the fucking street. I think there's an ice cream so like just things like that. And I felt like with all of the people that, you know, lent their talent to this movie, we all kind of had that experience and got to sort of really hang and gel with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you all like made it a great time and like real fun, and like it sounds like it was like a real close like production. That's the way successful
You're on tour.
things go. I feel.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Surround yourself with good people. It doesn't make it easy, but it makes it easier.
Totally. Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, if you guys
have
do you
a
have
winner, in my opinion.
any more questions for these guys?
No, dude, it was great talking to you guys. Like
Absolutely.
like I said, I think you guys have a winner in my opinion. This movie is awesome, and I like anyone who likes it. At first, whenever I first saw the cover art, I thought it was a zombie movie, and then whenever I saw that he was like a regular person, I was like, so does he get bitten? And it kept me in the movie the whole time. It's a great watch. Like you guys did
Thanks
great.
so much.
Yeah,
Dude.
thank you so much, guys. It really means
Thank
a
you,
lot
man.
to like
Awesome.
to even have us on, and like it never fucking gets old to hear people like the movie.
I'm glad. Yeah, I hope this. I bet it's awesome, but you probably get tired of the same questions over and over.
Really, because honestly, man, the way this movie gets seen or out is by just coming and hanging out and really word of mouth. I mean, it's very,
Yeah.
in the
So is it possible like a studio could approach you now to do a sequel?
yes.
Yeah,
Right?
hell yeah, please.
So that's what we ultimately want to happen, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Because this
Absolutely.
shit
Yeah.
is for real. You guys, I'm telling you.
Studios, if you're listening, approach.
For real. We got a lot of like screenwriter type
Yeah.
people that follow us. And but yeah, no, for real. This is what you did on such a small budget just amazes me. Give you like $1 million, I can only imagine.
Dude,
you
Let's
yeah.
do.
I mean, yeah,
Give us 3. See what happens.
If I had it, I'd give you 10. I'd give you 10 million.
All
Go.
right, let's just make it a cool 30. Let's
Dude,
If I had it, I believe, man, because I really did. I really enjoyed that movie a lot.
Thanks very much.
I
Yeah,
can imagine what you
Thank
guys
you
can pull
guys.
off.
yeah, we want to do this. Like, we want to continue working together, and we like even like we always talk about. It blows my mind if we had $1 million, because we stretch every dollar that we have. So I mean, the dream is to be able to work with your friends and have fun and make these like batshit fucking crazy movies. Like that's the
They're
dream.
great, man.
Yeah.
They're great.
Keep it up, man.
Absolutely.
They're amazing.
So thanks again, guys. If there's anything you want to plug, your bands or what you got going on, go ahead. Now's your chance.
I would just say, if you go to unclepeckerhead.com, it'll take you to kind of our production hub, which is Subtlety Rex. And there, if you're interested, we have like upcoming projects. We have a merch store, which also, we donate to the ACLU with every purchase. 20% of proceeds go to the ACLU. And you can just read about like if there are any news, like hopefully we'll be like with the LP, which is coming in 2021. We'll have information about that. But really, if you want to know what we're up to and follow us on social media, that's kind of a good production hub. It's unclepeckerhead.com.
Okay, great.
Basically, what Matt said, I'm in a band called $500. Check it out. So
Definitely gonna be doing that.
David,
I got
what do you got?
I got nothing.
You will, sir. It's coming. We're gonna get the word out. I'm telling you.
All right.
I'm telling you. Thank you so much,
I'm
guys.
looking forward to it.
Thank you.
guys. Thank
We'll
you.
keep in touch.